My name is Robbie Moore. I am an artist and arts extension educator for West Virginia State University Extension Service and in partnership with West Virginia Creative Network. But today I'm here in official capacity as the chairman for the board of directors for Beckley-Raleigh County Chamber of Commerce. So I wanted to welcome you all back. It's my pleasure today to introduce West Virginia Secretary of State Kris Warner. Secretary Warner is a sixth-generation West Virginian, born and raised in Charleston, and a graduate of West Virginia University. He brings more than 30 years of experience as an entrepreneur and real estate developer, along with an extensive background in public service and economic development. He has held key leadership roles at both the state and national level, including serving as West Virginia State Director for USDA Rural Development, where he helped secure more than $1.2 billion in investments across the state. He also served as Executive Director of the West Virginia Economic Development Authority, working closely with state leaders to advocate over $2 billion in strategic investments. In addition, he has been actively involved in political leadership, including serving as state chairman for the West Virginia Republican Party and currently co-chairing the Elections Committee for the National Associations of Secretaries of State. Please join me in welcoming Secretary Kris Warner.
I'm going to give you my telephone number. You can get Stephen's from him after we get a chance to speak, and I know you're going to say, you're nuts to give a crowd out like this your cell phone number, but economic development has been so important to me. I had the opportunity to serve as State Director for USDA Rural Development under President Trump in his first administration, and then as the Economic Development Director at EDA for Governor Justice. But I'm going to give you my cell phone number now, and I'm going to ask you to feel free to use that at any time. We love making connections for people, whether it's to agencies in state government or with other people in business that you need to be connected with. So cell phone number is 304-376-4672. So I'm really proud to be here today in the company of Southern West Virginia's best economic developers. I want to thank you to the New River Gorge Regional Development Authority, the West Virginia Hive, and the Beckley-Raleigh County Chamber of Commerce for bringing this group together today. Events like this matter when the people responsible for shaping a region's future gather in one place, ideas turn into plans, and plans, if we're dedicated enough, turn into results. The title of my talk today is Transparent Government and Thriving Business. So in a nutshell, a transparent government is one that operates openly, allowing citizens and businesses to access information regarding its decisions, spending, and processes. This openness builds public trust, enhances accountability, and serves as a thriving business environment by fostering economic growth, reducing corruption, and increasing efficiency. And that's our common duty, economic development. That phrase is often used in West Virginia in meetings and press releases, policy and panel discussions, but because we use it so often, it's easy to lose sight of what it truly means. It's well known that our state has been prone to population loss. So the need for economic development is not an abstract concept. It is not a talking point. It is a real, attainable goal of building a climate in which people stay, raise families, start businesses, and build a future. It is the deliberate creation of opportunity where it does not yet exist. And that is the work before us, and it's not optional. If what we want our communities to grow, if we want our children to stay, then we must be intentional about building West Virginia of tomorrow, not simply preserving the West Virginia of yesterday. Now, there's a principle in business that every person in this room understands, and that's the first mover reaps extraordinary benefit. The early bird really does get the worm. And those who identify opportunity before others and act decisively are the ones who shape economies rather than react to them. And the same is true for states. If we are serious about economic development, truly serious, then we cannot limit ourselves to replicating past success or chasing whatever happens to be fashionable at the moment. That's not leadership, that's imitation. And leadership requires something more. It requires creativity, it requires discipline, and it requires the willingness to take a vision that does not yet exist and drag it into reality through sustained effort. To me, that sounds an awful lot like entrepreneurship. We should not ask what West Virginians and West Virginia has been. We should ask what West Virginia can become and then go build it. As we look forward, we should do so with a clear understanding of where we came from. You know, we stand on the shoulders of giants. For generations, West Virginia has given of her own hide to power this nation. Our coal kept the lights on and made the steel that built America's bridges, her cities, and her industries. Our people did hard work, often dangerous work, not for recognition, but because it needed to be done. And that legacy is not something to move past. It is something to build upon. We do not honor that history by treating it as a relic, but by compounding it, by taking the same spirit of ingenuity, resilience, and hard work and applying it to the industries of the future. That is how we move forward without losing who we are. That is how we remain grounded while still growing. So in my role as Secretary of State and as the state's Chief Business Registration Officer, I take that responsibility seriously. So every day in office, I strive to put state government to work for the people of West Virginia, and particularly for those who create jobs and opportunity. And that means more than processing filings or maintaining records. It means building a business climate that is predictable, efficient, and worthy of investment. It means recognizing that when businesses succeed, the people of West Virginia succeed. And it means delivering on the promise of public-private relationships. Because that phrase, like economic development, can lose some of its luster when it's overused. At its core, a public-private partnership is a promise that government will do its part to create a stable and supportive economic environment. A promise that entrepreneurs and employers will step forward to invest, hire, and build. When both sides keep that promise, growth follows. For my position as your elected Secretary of State, our business division is a cornerstone of economic development. Without a certificate of authority, new businesses cannot operate. So I've challenged my staff to be responsive, transparent, and consistent in their services to the public, and to treat every business, from the billion-dollar corporation to the new two-person company, exactly the same, with the same services and degree of effort. So this past legislative session, we were successful in expanding our helpful services by creating the state's first Office of Entrepreneurship, which opens July 1st of this year. The Office of Entrepreneurship will be focused on coordinating public and private resources, streamlining government services, and working directly with entrepreneurs and small businesses to identify red tape and areas of improvement, and recommending policy changes to the agencies and to the legislature to create a better business environment for that critical majority of businesses in the state. but that partnership only works if it's met with equal effort. Government cannot build the future alone, and it should not try to. It requires the men and women in this room, business owners, investors, inventors, innovators, and community leaders to bring that same level of commitment to the table. So when you see a need, fill it. When you see an opportunity, pursue it. When your community lacks something, build it. That leads me to another cornerstone of what we're doing here in the state, and that's choosing your leadership. Elections play an important role in shaping the business environment, and this group knows better than most that even good economic policy can be tossed out with the bathwater when issues arise in the state legislature. As the state's chief election official, it's my job to ensure that elections are fair, accurate, and secure, so that the public has the confidence that those elected to office, the lawmakers and officials who make decisions that directly affect the business climate in West Virginia, were truly elected by a majority of participating voters. So just like the public-private partnership I just discussed, it doesn't matter how well I or the state's 55 county clerks administer an election if you don't do your part by getting educated on the candidates and participating in the election. To give you a few more important upcoming dates for the midterm primary elections, I would remind you that the deadline to register to vote, update your registration, change your political affiliation, or take any other action on your voter registration record is April 21st, just a couple of days from now. Early in-person voting runs for 10 days, so you have 2 Saturdays and the entire week in between, starting April 29th and going until May 9th. And then primary election day is on May 12th. I encourage each of you to go to our Election Central webpage at govotewv.com. Again, govotewv.com. There you'll find all the important deadlines, links to update your records online, guidance on the new photo voter ID law, information about the Republican Party's closed primary policy change, and much more. So in closing, I challenge you to create businesses that serve your neighbors. Build enterprises that create jobs. Make a profit and then reinvest that success to do it all again. Participate in elections and choosing the right leaders for your and our state. That is how prosperity compounds. That is how our communities grow. And that's how we uphold the vision of a better West Virginia. If we get this right, if we combine strong public policy with private initiative, then the results will speak for themselves. People will stay, families will form, businesses will expand, and West Virginia will not be defined by what it once was, but by what it is becoming. Because when mountaineers invest in the land they love, something powerful happens. Needs are met, people prosper, communities grow, and almost heaven becomes a little less almost and a lot more heaven. Thank you for having me today. May God bless you and the great state of West Virginia.
Thank you, Secretary Warner. If you wouldn't mind, we'll do a brief Q&A with the audience. I'm looking for our first question.
While you're looking for that first question, this is the first time in West Virginia where you have to have a photo ID. So to give you a couple of examples of photo IDs that you can use on May 12th when you show up at the polling place. And this was because the legislature passed a law in the last, not this session, but the previous legislative session. You can use your passport. Most people use their driver's license. If you don't have a driver's license and you need an ID, you can go to your county courthouse or the Secretary of State's office, and we'll produce for you free a photo ID. If you know of someone that's elderly and they no longer drive, As long as they had a driver's license at the age of 65, even though it's expired, it can still be used as their photo ID. They don't need to go out and get another driver's license at 85 years of age. If you work for a school teacher can use the photo ID that's issued by the school because it's a part of the county, it's a part of the government. So be prepared. I would also encourage you, if you don't know what district you're in, you can go to our Go Vote WB website. There's an interactive map. You plug in your address. It'll tell you what House of Delegates district you're in, what state Senate district you're in. I would also just point out about 1/3 of the state's voters are registered unaffiliated. And we mentioned the closed primary for the Republican Party. Only Republicans will be able to vote for Republicans in the primary. But if you're unaffiliated, you can still ask for a Democrat ballot, but you have to ask for it when you go in. The poll worker won't offer that to you. You can also still vote for the nonpartisan candidates that are on the ballot, those running for the school board, the state Supreme Court, judicial ships. So anybody running nonpartisan, you can still vote if you're one of those unaffiliated, or what we used to call independent voters.
Thank you.
Secretary Warner, feel free to correct even the premise of my question, because I'm not sure I understand at all this issue, and I was just wanting to get some help on it. Can you help explain to us, or to me, what is the issue with the federal government wanting access to our voter database? And again, I may be saying that all incorrectly. Feel free to correct me.
Is there anyone in here reporting for the media? Okay. The issue with the Department of Justice, a couple of months ago, I was notified as the chief election official in West Virginia that the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. wanted 1.2 million voter files that include your social security number, your driver's license number, your date of birth, in some cases your cell phone or your email address, all tied in with the address where you live. And we responded, no, you're not going to get that. First of all, it's against West Virginia law to share private information with anyone, and that includes the Department of Justice. Kind of the basis for this, just so you'll know, is that the U.S. Constitution says that the time, manner, and place of elections is left to the states. It's not left to the federal government. I don't care whether I work for the guy in his first administration or not, and it's his Department of Justice. They're not going to get your social security number and your driver's license attached to all that other personal information of yours. Now, our office does sell the list, but without your private information on it. It'll give your address, so if you get a mailer in the mail for a candidate running for office, they may have purchased that either through the county or through the Secretary of State's office. Normally for the statewide offices, we do that. But a couple of Fridays ago, we were then approached by the Department of Justice again, this time the chief for the Civil Rights Division, and they cited the 1960 Civil Rights Act. We didn't even keep electronic records in 1960, but that's what they used, and said, we're demanding the list electronically, unredacted. And we said, no, we'll pull out the information, the private information, but you're not going to get the personal information. And they threatened a lawsuit at that point, and essentially they have announced that they're suing us to get that information. They have not served us yet, so that's a way, I guess, of keeping us quiet. But we'll now see where that goes. They've appointed a federal judge, Tom Johnston, out of Wheeling, to handle it. We think that we're on solid ground in protecting the $1.2 million or 1.2 million voter files in West Virginia, and the only way that it would ever get turned over is if there was a federal court order, but we don't think that that's going to happen. It hasn't happened in other states, and we're not going to let it happen here. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'll take that as an agreement.
Well, Actually, I kind of had the same question, but Mr. Cantley asked it quite eloquently. But I'll just follow up and say, is there something on the voter registration information of mine that the federal government doesn't already have?
I guess that could be argued. They probably have it in different locations. I don't know that they have it all in one location. They say, just so you'll know, the first approach was that they wanted to keep our voter files clean. So it is against the federal law to have someone that is not a citizen of the United States to participate in our elections. The West Virginia legislature in this last legislative session outlawed those that are not citizens of the U.S. from participating in municipal elections, because there were 2 municipalities in West Virginia that were thinking about allowing non-citizens to vote in their municipal elections. The idea is, if you own property, you can vote or whatever. But let me let you know that our office, just since I've taken office, just over a year ago, we have removed 71,000 names from our voting rolls. Our office, in the last 8 years, has removed 408,000 names from our voting rolls. And that's where fraud and abuse take place, is when you leave names on the voter rolls of people that are deceased, people that have moved out of state, convicted felons. If you leave those names on the voter rolls, that's how, they talk about graveyards voting in West Virginia's past. That doesn't occur anymore because we've cleaned up the voting rolls, and only those people that are eligible to vote are on those voter rolls. So I don't know what the federal government thinks that they can do better than our 55 county clerks working with the Secretary of State's office. We provide the tools, things like change of address forms when somebody moves out of state. We send out regularly postcards to those that might not be living at that address anymore to verify their address. The last thing we want to do is take someone off the voter rolls that deserves to be there. So we take that very seriously. We work very closely with the 55 county clerks. We don't think that that's a role for the federal government to take on, especially with the laws that are in place and the Constitution that's in place.
Thank you, Secretary. We have another question.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Secretary. This question concerns security itself and the fundamental role it plays in protecting people, organizations, and institutional integrity. With that in mind, I would like to ask, how does your office define the importance of security within the state's overall mission, and what steps are being taken to ensure that security remains a top priority across all departments and operational events?
We have a division of cybersecurity housed in the basement of the state capitol. All of that information that we just talked about is just not, a talking point when we're out like this. We have a team that stays on top of that constantly. I can tell you that at 5:38 on Thursday afternoon, we had our office in Clarksburg's system go down. The one in Martinsburg went down quickly thereafter. And we didn't get them back up until Tuesday, but everybody's information was secure. So we take security as a number one priority for our office. I will also tell you that we have 17 investigators around the state of West Virginia. They can be almost anywhere within an hour or two to investigate whether we have an issue with elections, early voting, or if it's on the business side of the house. We maintain 171,000 plus files for businesses like yours, your security business. We maintain those, and those people file annual reports with us. So it's of utmost importance to us to stay on top of that, and we have a team that does that. For whatever it's worth, by the way, we run the smallest agency in state government. We have 51 employees total. We do everything we do in elections with 6 full-time workers. We're very proud of the customer service that we're able to provide businesses like yours and the county clerks that are responsible for running safe, secure, fair, and honest elections in their counties. Hopefully that partially answered your question.